What's happening, guys? Sam Adams here, and welcome to a brand new episode of Caffeinate today for January the 16th of 2019. My name is Samuel Adams, and welcome to today's show. I hope that this one does find you well, and for those that are brand new to the show, this is a daily gaming news podcast where I bring you the hottest gaming news live on twitch.tv/TheSamuelAdams. The show is then put up on youtube.com/SamuelAdamsMedia and of course, on podcast services around the world, and all of these links can be found via anchor.fm. But to those hanging out in the chat, I hope you are having a fantastic day, and today we have some big news, because as the show ended yesterday, we got some pretty impressive, I guess, announcements, or perhaps depressing announcements, depending on how you perceive them, that EA's open-world Star Wars game was actually canned in favor of another smaller project that is more than likely coming out sooner. So we'll talk about all of that and what that means for the future of EA, and specifically the future of EA when it comes to Star Wars. And that is our headliner for the day. Now, on top of that, today we did see the reveal of the Division 2's pretty much single-player campaign trailer, and also the reveal of when you can actually take place in the private beta. According to Gamasutra, Epic has fixed a big Fortnite security flaw, which left all 200 million plus players vulnerable. Ouch. Hitman developer opens a brand new studio. That is IO Interactive. Malmo, I believe is how you pronounce that location. On top of that, Niantic has gotten a big round of funding with $245 million coming their way, thanks primarily to a brand new Harry Potter game, in my personal opinion. On top of that, for those that are subscribers to Xbox Game Pass, congratulations, you have some more pretty solid titles coming your way. A brand new Sea of Thieves update is coming, a game that has seen a pretty big bout of resurgence over the course of the past week or so, and it will actually cut down the file size of the game for once instead of adding more content to it. Just kidding. It's pretty much just being optimized, so we'll talk more about that here in just a moment. In addition to all of this, The Walking Dead Episode 4 has a release date. Sony is surveying PlayStation players on the future of the company, and EA has canceled the open Star Wars game. We'll talk about that at the beginning, but those are the stories of the day. I hope you do enjoy the show if you are new, or if you've been watching for a very long time. And without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the biggest gaming news of the day. EA's open-world Star Wars game has been canned in favor of a smaller project. EA has canceled its big open-world Star Wars game in favor of a smaller Star Wars project that is actually due sooner. The game in question was the one being developed by EA Vancouver. It was codenamed Orca, Kotaku reported last night, and was still in its early stages. Orca was being built from the ashes of another EA canceled effort, the Amy Hennig Star Wars game codenamed Ragtag. EA's plan had been to take some elements of Ragtag and use them in Orca to make a more trendy-sounding open-world effort. Now, EA's plan is apparently to make a smaller Star Wars project, again, still without Amy Hennig, for launch likely around the end of 2020, when most people in the industry are currently pegging new console hardware to be available. So, in layman's terms, it looks like we're trying to get a launch Star Wars title for the brand new generation of consoles, or at least near launch, if anything. To be clear, neither of these games has anything to do with Respawn's Star Wars effort, Jedi Fallen Order, which was not yet canceled the last time that they checked over there at Eurogamer. And just so everyone's keeping up, EA was making a big Star Wars game instead of a canceled smaller Star Wars game, but has now canceled the big one as well to pivot back to a smaller one once more. So, the big question here at the end of the article, can one of these games actually come out? That's the biggest question that I want to pose, because quite frankly, I don't believe any of these games exist at this point. I think they're all just conceptual pieces where we're going to be seeing development of them over the next few years. But that's just me. Now, as far as the approach to this goes, should they abandon the bigger project in exchange for the smaller project that could come out sooner and more than likely coincide with the release of a brand new line of hardware? It's kind of up for debate because, of course, fans really do want an open-world Star Wars game. I believe that in the bottom of my heart, the people want an open world Star Wars game, because if you allow that world to be fleshed out, there is no doubt in my mind that it would be satisfying to not only partake in, but also to build throughout the coming years, you know, to be able to really flesh out the world and add new updates, add new content, perhaps open up new galaxies, new races to explore, stuff along those lines. That's the kind of Star Wars game that I want to see. Now, more than likely, when it comes to what Star Wars game we're going to be seeing, is it going to be something very simple, perhaps another shooter? Maybe Battlefront 3 could be a launch title on the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox 2, again, whatever they might be called. That very well could be the case. But as for right now, the big open world project set in the Star Wars universe is no more. Now, I have no doubt that Jedi Fallen Order is going to be a pretty solid effort, if I did have to say so myself. Of course, Respawn is a company that I trust very deeply, especially with the way that they did treat Titanfall, because they've done fantastic with that franchise. But as for right now, what can we expect from Star Wars? It's pretty much up in the air. EA is trying a lot of different things, but it seems like nothing is sticking, even to the point of actually becoming a coherent idea, where there is a physical, game to be played. There isn't even a game to play quite yet. So again, very early stages here, but hey, choices are being made. There are some lines being, made on some papers that say, hey, these games therefore should not come out. But again, we'll see what happens come 2020. Oh, Star Wars. Why doesn't another hold on, we got to return. Why doesn't another company pick up this, name? Why don't you allow other companies, why don't you nullify this contract, because it's clear that EA can't handle Star Wars, and give it to another company that can actually handle the task of making a good Star Wars game? Because literally, at this point, you could make the shittiest Star Wars game imaginable, and it would still sell incredibly well, because right now, even the smallest iota of a generally okay Star Wars experience is going to do well. It doesn't have to be amazing. It doesn't have to be life-changing. It just has to be acceptable, and it will do fantastic. Even Star Wars Battlefront 2, a game that saw incredible hitback upon launch, is still doing fairly okay considering how much of a hitback it actually got. It still has a thriving player base. Not as much as it could have if the launch had been solid, but still a pretty solid player base. I digress. This gets my blood boiling. So we're going to look forward to a game coming out in the next couple of months, which is the Division 2, because the private beta now has a date, and it is beginning in early February. And of course, there's a brand new trailer if you did want to check that out on your own time. And of course, it is embedded in the article, which I have linked down below if you are watching the YouTube video. So get a sneak peek of a destroyed Washington, D.C. Ubisoft has announced that the private beta for The Division 2 will be starting next month. Running from February 7th until February the 10th, anyone that pre-orders a copy of the game on their selected platform, which includes PC, PS4, or the Xbox One, will get access to the beta period. You will just need to fill out a form on the official website after securing your copy. Ubisoft has also uploaded a new story trailer for the game, and it promises that history will remember, which certainly sounds dramatic enough. It doesn't show off that much gameplay, but at least it is entirely in-engine, which means there are no renders, which means this is what the game looks like. Now, as a reminder, The Division 2 is going to be launching on March the 15th, which is just a couple of months away. So this is one of the biggest releases of the spring season, in my opinion, because quite frankly, this is one of those looter-shooter grinds that not only people love, but also that Twitch streamers love and Mixer streamers love. This is something that you can grind through not only the spring and the weeks after release, but also through the summer and even into the fall as more and more content is added. Now, when it comes to The Division 2, if you did want to dive in again, you can pre-order the game and check out that private beta. But for me, the big question here is, of course, is solo playing an option here? Because as somebody who primarily plays, alone, as somebody who primarily plays single-player content, The Division was a solid game with fantastic core gameplay mechanics, but when it came to playing solo, I just didn't feel like the experience was as fulfilling as that was being gotten from those playing in groups. So we will see what happens with The Division 2, but it could be a pretty good time if you are into that kind of experience. So again, if you did want to check out the entire story trailer, it's up right now on the official Ubisoft YouTube page, and of course it is linked in the article, which I have linked down below if you did want to check it out. And indeed, they are going to get fully invested on that wired grind. Indeed they are. But speaking of a grind, Epic is fixing a Fortnite security flaw which left all 200+ million users vulnerable. That's right, 200 million plus people have been vulnerable thanks to Epic Games, but hey, it's okay, right? Because they fixed it. It looks like Epic Games' Fortnite was host to a series of bugs that have since been fixed, which, if exploited together, could have exposed the accounts to any of its 200 million players. This isn't the first time Fortnite vulnerabilities have been exploited. Around this time last year, players noticed that hackers had been making fraudulent charges to their accounts after taking advantage of well-known hacking techniques. As reported by Checkpoint, a cybersecurity firm, if the flaws were exploited, they would have stolen the account access token set on the player's device once they entered their password. After the access token had been stolen, it could be used to impersonate the player and log in as if they were the account holder without needing their password. According to these researchers, the flaw lies in how Epic processes login requests. Hackers could send any user a special link that, on the surface, looks as if it came from Epic Games' own domain. This, in turn, would allow a hacker to steal an access token needed to break into an account. As for how the bug worked, the researchers say that after a user clicks on the link, which points to an epicgames.com subdomain, the hacker would embed a link to malicious code on their own server by exploiting a cross-site weakness in the subdomain. So essentially, old website with old name was used to take advantage, basically. So once clicked, with no need for the user to enter any login credentials, their Fortnite username and password could immediately be captured. And of course, Epic has since fixed the vulnerabilities, saying, quote, "We were made aware of the vulnerabilities and they were soon addressed. We thank Checkpoint for bringing this to our attention," said Epic in a statement. As always, they say, "We encourage players to protect their accounts by not reusing passwords and using strong passwords and not sharing account information with others." And this is pretty much where that story ends. So thankfully, nobody really took advantage of this, because that would have been bad, wouldn't it? But that is one issue that Fortnite is facing specifically because, you know, a lot of people play Fortnite, of course, over 200 million players, but a large portion of that is a younger audience. You know, whether we like to admit it or not, a lot of kids play Fortnite. It's the modern day Minecraft. And so whenever you have that kind of demographic, kids are vulnerable. Kids are gullible, and so if they see a link or an email or any kind of message from Epic Games, they're more than likely going to click on it if they do play Fortnite regularly, regardless of what that message actually says. So with that being said, number one, if you play Fortnite, don't click on any messages that look kind of shady. If you have kids that play Fortnite, keep an eye on that. You know, if you have emails or anything like that, you got to really be involved with what's going on there, because you could definitely wake up one morning and all of your credit cards be maxed out and your bank account be empty. And that would be a bad thing to deal with now, wouldn't it? Now, good news for Hitman fans coming up next. The Hitman developer opens a brand new studio. Hitman developer IO Interactive has announced that it has opened a new studio in Malmo, Sweden called IOI Malmo that will work on Hitman content as well as new unannounced projects not related to the assassination simulator. Quote, "This will expand our muscles for creating brand new and exciting endeavors, new universes, and new franchises," reads a statement on the IO Interactive website. The studio is already up and running and is currently hiring if you are in the market for a brand new job in Sweden. That'd be a pretty cool place to live. Now, first off, did I mispronounce the name of this city? Let me know in the comment section down below, assuming that you guys know how to correctly pronounce this little city in Sweden. But with that being said, good to see that more and more content is going to be coming from IO Interactive, because over the course of the past few years, through Hitman, really, they have proven in my mind to be a pretty awesome, you know, source of some pretty cool games. Of course, the Hitman reboots have been, by all means, a huge success, with Hitman and Hitman 2 being pretty much resounding awesome games. That's pretty much what it comes down to. Now, with that being said, with more Hitman content coming, where can they take the companies going forward? What kind of new ideas are going to flourish? Is it going to be something similar, something different? The future is bright. Again, with brand new ideas, brand new studios, you have a lot of potential going into the next generation of hardware, to where this could very well be one of the big players come the next generation, as if it wasn't already. So again, if you are a fan of Hitman, then congratulations. More content coming your way, and on top of that, more games that are similar in nature, or not. Games coming in general, from the Hitman developer IO Interactive. Now, Niantic is another company that has a lot of money coming their way and a lot of potential going forward, because Niantic has closed a funding round with $245 million raised. That's a lot of green, dude. Pokemon Go developer Niantic has raised a grand total of $245 million at the close of a Series C funding round, bringing the company's current valuation up to nearly $4 billion. The funds aim to help the AR developer advance its tech through investments in advanced augmented reality capabilities, machine learning, and its Niantic real-world platform operating system. The cash also comes ahead of the 2019 launch of Harry Potter Wizards Unite, an augmented reality game similar in flavor to the company's 2016 release Pokemon Go, but with a magical twist. Building up to that release, Niantic notes that its most recent investment will help the company boost its game library and accelerate its hiring in order to continue to build its developer platform. Quote, "We continue to be focused on delivering on our mission of bringing people together through experiences that marry advanced technology and the real world," said Niantic CEO and co-founder John Hankey in a press release. Quote, "This funding round adds financial and strategic support as we focus on doubling down on that mission with our platform and building upon the popularity we've established in recent years as we grow our portfolio and our offerings." End quote. So overall, if you're a fan of Pokemon Go, and if you are a fan of Niantic and the way they've handled that game thus far, congratulations to you as well as the Hitman guys. You're going to be getting great AR content coming from this company in the future. Now, I think a lot of this funding was coming because of the Harry Potter game that is going to be coming out in the next few months. I think that the Harry Potter game is going to be a worldwide sensation. I don't know that it's going to be on the same level as that of Pokemon Go, quite frankly, because Pokemon is such a, I guess, synonymous kind of cultural icon in a way, where so many people grew up with Pokemon that it hit the timing just right to where you could tap into that 20-something group of people that has a smartphone on them at all times of the day and that still has a mild interest in Pokemon, so much so that you can sit there and play it whenever you're on a bus or whenever you're walking to work or whatever you might be doing. Now, with that being said, Harry Potter is kind of in the same kind of situation because you have a ton of people that are very passionate about Harry Potter. Again, still in 2019, years and years after the books came out and years after the movies have concluded, you still have this very passionate fan group that will, without a doubt, get in on some of the magical augmented reality, which in and of itself is kind of magical if you really think about it. So again, if you were wanting to check out Harry Potter Wizards Unite coming in 2019, and of course Pokemon Go out now and a big worldwide sensation that I believe works with some of the newer Switch games, if I remember my episodes of the drop correctly. But again, $245 million in funding, that's a lot of cash, man. But speaking of saving a lot of cash, if you have an Xbox Game Pass subscription, congratulations, because there are more games coming for you via January 2019. A weird way to say that, but you get what I'm saying. Xbox Game Pass continues to grow as Microsoft has revealed the addition of 4 more games to be released over the next week. 2 games will be launched in Game Pass starting Thursday, January 17th, followed by the second pair on Thursday, January the 24th. That makes for a total of 11 games released for Game Pass across all of January, which may not even be the end of it for the month alone. That's a pretty solid little lineup of games. I mean, 11 games so far. You're getting pretty good bang for your buck. So, 2 great AAA open world classics are joining January's already great Xbox Game Pass titles. One game is one of Microsoft's recently acquired studios, and another is one of the latest releases in the popular LEGO franchise. So, on January the 17th, you are going to be able to play We Happy Few and the LEGO Movie video game via Xbox Game Pass. Then, on January the 24th, you get Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor, not Shadow of War, the more recent game, but the one that came out back in, I believe, 2014, Shadow of Mordor release date. I can type, I promise. Yes, 2014. I nailed it, if I do say so myself. And of course, on top of that, Saints Row the Third, an over-the-top Grand Theft Auto-esque kind of explosion-laced gun game. But for those interested in playing these games on the cheap, as well as the ever-growing library of Game Pass titles, Microsoft is currently offering the first month of the subscription service for just $1. Beyond the first month, the service costs $9.99 a month, though it can routinely be found, at a discount of 25 or even 50% off if bought in 3 to 6 month blocks. Xbox fans will likely already be familiar with Compulsion Games' We Happy Few. After all, Compulsion Games was acquired by Microsoft as announced at E3 of 2018. It was one of the big announcements, and the first-person action-adventure game features 3 unique story arcs revolving around an authoritarian society and the required use of mood-controlling drug named Joy. Of course, We Happy Few slipped by a lot of game players in 2018 because, quite frankly, The marketing behind the game wasn't there. I don't know what happened to We Happy Few. It was weird. Like, it was there and then it wasn't. But, of course, you can check out the other games, including, again, the Lego Movie video game, Shadow of Mordor, and, on top of that, Saints Row the Third. So who knows what is going to be coming in February's Game Pass editions, but it will undoubtedly be a pretty good lineup because, hey, they're free games. You have nothing to complain about whatsoever. Now, speaking of a game actually included in Xbox Game Pass, Sea of Thieves has a brand new update coming out that will cut down on the file size. That's some pretty good news for those that are strapped for space on their PC or their Xbox One. So Sea of Thieves is a constantly evolving game with an expanding roster of monsters to battle and islands to explore. In a blog post yesterday, Rare announced that it's nerfing a dangerous foe, and that is the file size of the game itself. Executive producer Joe Neate announced the changes in an official blog post. Following an update on February 6th, Sea of Thieves installation size will be greatly reduced, and here are the new file sizes, so listen on up. On the Xbox One, the original base console, it's going from an install size of 35 gigabytes to just 10 gigabytes. On the Xbox One X, it's going from 47 gigs to 25, and the Windows 10 PC version of the game is going from 47 to 27. Still pretty solid. Sea of Thieves launched in choppy condition. Server stability was a major issue, and hackers plagued the seas for a time, but since then, it has expanded with bug fixes and a series of free content releases. This size adjustment will require a larger than usual patch on the 6th, but will help the game continue to expand. In a quote, they say, quote, "Changes to how we generate game updates/patches will better enable us to manage future content being added to the game," Neate wrote. This might mean that patch sizes increase slightly in the future, but the benefit is that the game install size won't increase significantly. If we didn't make this change, the game install size would continue to increase, taking up more and more of your hard drive space. So if Sea of Thieves is going to keep growing and as more and more games use lots of disk space, taking up less real estate on players' drives will be crucial. It also means that if you ever want to install and check out the seas again, you won't have to wait as long, and of course if you are in an area of the country or the world that has a specific amount of data you can use each month, it's also a friendly way to approach that. Now, it's a little random because they can't think of a last time they've read an announcement like this over there at Kotaku, but if it means clear skies and clear hard drives, then sure. So overall, I think this is a big issue that a lot of people are going to be facing, especially as we go deeper into 4K content. Because for those that don't know, if a game is able to run in native 4K, there are a lot of textures. Like, there are gigabytes and gigabytes of basically just terrain and skies and stuff like that that take up a big part of your hard drive. And if you're like me, somebody who does not have a 4K screen to even play this content on, whether it be a TV or a monitor, this is completely and utterly useless, and therefore I have to upgrade my hard drives for pretty much no reason. So to see this approach coming from the developers of Sea of Thieves, and to see them kind of cutting back on the file size and really taking into consideration the fact that people don't have limitless hard drives, that's something that I think is a very player-friendly approach, and something that I feel more companies should without a doubt get in on. Because to be able to have this kind of optic, to be able to say, hey, we get that we aren't the only game on your console. We get that our updates are going to take up some space, but they shouldn't have to take up all of your space. That's a very conscious approach to how this is going, and so pretty cool to see. Now, for those that don't know, Sea of Thieves has seen a huge resurgence online as of late. Of course, Summit 1G has surpassed Ninja in total subscription count because of playing Sea of Thieves, and that has pretty much generated this giant rush back to the game, both on Twitch, on Mixer, on Facebook Gaming, wherever you might be watching your streamed content. There is a ton of Sea of Thieves being played, and without a doubt, as an Xbox Game Pass title on top of being crossplay with Windows 10, it is one of the most player-friendly games out there right now. And Rare has done a fantastic job ensuring that the updates have continuously added more and more depth, more and more, time that people can put into the game. It's very cool. And of course, very fun to watch. So again, available right now on Xbox One and Windows 10 PCs. Now, coming on February 6th with smaller file sizes. So with that smaller file size, means you have more space for other games, and congratulations, that means you can download The Walking Dead Episode 4, because a release date has now been announced, and it's coming in March. When I come up with transitions, I just start a sentence and I don't really know where they're going. I was pretty proud that I pulled that one off. But that's beside the point. Skybound Games has provided a release date for the 4th and the last episode of The Walking Dead, the final season. The end is nigh. The series finale of The Walking Dead, the final season, will be released in late March, Skybound Games announced today. Details on the conclusion were not provided, only the March 26th release date. It will be made available on PC, PS4, Switch, and the Xbox One. Of course, The Walking Dead, the final season, Episode 3, Broken Toys, was released today. Of course, today is Tuesday. And of course, you can check out the synopsis, which is, and I quote, "After years on the road facing threats both living and dead, a secluded school might finally be Clementine's chance for a home. But protecting it will mean sacrifice. In this gripping emotional final season, your choices will define your relationships and determine how Clementine's story ends." And for those that don't know who Clementine is, essentially over the course of, I guess, the better part of about the past decade, Telltale Games has been telling the story of Clementine via this kind of side narrative set in the Walking Dead universe. And so people have become very invested in Clementine and become invested in her story. And so to see a good conclusion being reached after all of the drama that happened with Telltale, as we've been talking about for the past 6 months now, is something that is cool. You know, I'm glad that players are able to get their hands on the final conclusion of how Clementine's story ends. Now, will it be an open-ended kind of conclusion? Maybe. Who knows? But hey, you can find out on March the 26th, getting very close to April there, whenever the game does come out, or at least the final episode comes out, on the PC, PS4, Switch, and the Xbox One. I also want to reiterate, as we talked about a couple of days ago, or yesterday, something along those lines, that if you did purchase the Season Pass, you still have access to the new Skybound versions, or Skybound episodes, I suppose is the better way to phrase that, regardless of, you know, prior purchase through Telltale or any kind of platform, whatever it might be. So again, you can go over to the Skybound Games website and find more info on how to get your hands on these final episodes. But hey, I'm just glad they're actually happening, because there for a minute, we all were kind of, ooh, is it actually going to come? That's what she said. But to finalize today's lineup, we have Sony surveying players on the future of PlayStation. According to recent reports and speculation, Sony is planning to release the PlayStation 5 in 2020. As the PlayStation platform holder gears towards the next generation of consoles, it wants to make sure that players will be on board with its plans. And to ensure that, Sony has sent a survey out to every player. Or at least most. I haven't gotten one, but hey, I haven't checked my email in weeks. So that's according to Twisted Voxel, who shared a screenshot from the survey email, as well as some of the language in it. The survey asked players for their thoughts on console gaming and says that by sharing their opinions, the survey taker can help Sony plan for the future of PlayStation. It adds that the responses will also help the PlayStation platform holder improve the experience for you and all of our players, according to the email. The publication explains that the questions mostly center on how players use their existing consoles, whether they stream games, play games on or offline, or own their own consoles and mobile devices. It's easy to see how Sony could use this info to improve its offerings. If many PS4 users also play a lot of mobile games, Sony could invest more in programs like PlayLink, which uses a mobile app for social gaming, or it could release companion apps for its games that would allow somehow, to enhance the gameplay experience. I say we just take all of those ideas just presented there and put them to the side and donate them to Goodwill. Because nobody wants PlayLink and nobody wants a companion app for any kind of game. I want to hold a DualShock in my hand and I want to play the shit on my screen. That's my answer to the survey. But moreover, if a substantial number of PS4 users also own the Xbox One or the Nintendo Switch, Sony will wonder and ask how it can incorporate features from these systems into the PlayStation 5. Could the PS5 offer handheld and home console gaming like the Switch, or could Sony embrace backwards compatibility with the PlayStation 5 in order to better compete with Microsoft and the Xbox? They better. The survey raises some interesting possibilities. Unfortunately, though, the survey does not appear to give much away when it comes to other PlayStation 5 rumors. Leaked info about the console's hardware has suggested that Sony is going to continue to invest in VR with the PS5. The rumor even went so far as to say that the PS5 would include VR goodies, and that is a direct quote. But some are also hoping the next generation console will have a huge hard drive space to account for the transition towards digital games and majorly improved graphics. But of course, Sony will hopefully unveil the PS5 soon, letting fans know whether their predictions and speculation have been correct. Now, there is nothing concrete in this entire article. Let me make that very clear. This is all just speculation and reporting on the fact that PlayStation is pretty much gauging interest and current thoughts on where PlayStation sits as of right now in January of 2019. But I would say that we're going to be on the cusp of an announcement of the PlayStation 5 within the next 3 to 4 months. If anything, kind of a cold open where you do have the reveal of at least the shape of the console, a tease of when we're actually going to be getting the announcement. Something along those lines is going to be coming in 2019 without a doubt. Maybe some specs. That would be cool to see. But as of right now, what can we expect from the future? I think you're going to be seeing more streaming. I think you are going to be seeing at least a 5 terabyte hard drive to begin with. You've got to have that level of space to even imagine downloading games because of how big and ubiquitous downloading games has become in digital projects or products. But I could ramble about that forever. What you need to know is that PlayStation wants to hear your thoughts. So check your email and let them know what you think. Because you shape the future of what PlayStation is going to be looking like over the course of the next 5 to 10 years. And that's a big responsibility. Now, is it actually a large responsibility? Nah, not really. But you should still participate. Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's show, and if you did, be sure to drop me a like down below. To those hanging out in the Twitch chat, I appreciate you being here as well. And Spike Tiger says, well, will they have dual HDDs, a big storage one and a NVMe for fast loading? I would assume that's like a SSD. Maybe. I would assume that everything's going to be SSD going forward. But again, I appreciate people like Spike that hang out in the Twitch chat because it's always good to be able to break down the news with somebody here in the chat or even a group of people. But if you are watching on YouTube, I appreciate you as well. And on top of that, if you happen to be listening to the podcast version of the show, I appreciate you checking out the show. And if you have not already, click that subscribe button, hit that bell, do whatever you have to do to make sure that you get the show delivered to your inbox every single weekday around 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Then do that stuff. But as for right now, I appreciate you guys being here. I will talk to you soon, and peace.